Hello and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
And for this episode, we watched Shutter Island. The music tells you this place is scary.
You know it's scary because someone's farting into a tuba.
He has a name. It's Hans. What's his name? Hans Zimmerman.
Not Hans Gruber. That's
No,
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer
Yeah.
frame.
Yeah, I think I'd seen this once, not long after it first came out, because it was all cool, spooky thriller. It's a lot more fucked than I remembered it being, a lot more intense. But yeah, I sort of vaguely remembered it, and I remembered the whole kind of mystery behind is what the film portrays as real actually real, or was it not? But I'm sure we'll get more into that. But what was your guys' sort of history with this?
So I tried watching this once, and when I turned it on, about 4 people came into the room and decided that was the room they wanted to hang out in. So I didn't watch it. I tried, but this is not a film you can watch whilst a group of people are talking.
Did this happen at Dan's house?
No.
Okay.
This was at home. I was like, everyone is alone. Everyone's left me alone. I'm going to watch Shutter Island. And then it was suddenly like, hey, let's all go hang out in here. So I didn't watch it.
So you'd not seen it before?
No, I've seen the first 10 minutes.
And did you know the twist?
No.
Okay.
But I also generally didn't care.
Okay, yeah. No, I just wanted to know, because it's one of those ones that's kind of, I knew that there was a twist before I saw it, and it kind of, obviously I spent most of the movie waiting for the twist. But I saw this probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I think, when I was dipping my proverbial toe into horror and being a brave girl.
Oh yeah, your brave girl era.
Yeah, well, when I was like, I actually like being scared in a controlled environment. And then my friend was like, actually, how about we use these to make more nightmares? And then I was like, actually, no, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. So I'd seen it, and I remember at the time thinking it was pretty good. But I also, watching it this time, I was like, not as... I think it definitely... I thought I'd get something out of knowing what was coming and spotting all the ways that it's oh, you know, they give it away a few times that it's not real.
Yeah, it's not subtly hinted at. It's really fucking obvious.
Yeah.
It really is just this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it... But the acting in it, I thought, was pretty good.
It's a
Poor
good
old Leo
first, really.
acting his heart out once again.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's really acting. I mean, his love interest was over 25. Yeah, no, the acting and the writing generally good.
Yeah, music bit farty.
Music's a bit it's like neo-noir.
Yeah,
but kind of fantastical, big and loud.
Yeah, I suppose we should be grateful
orchestra.
that it came out when it came out and it wasn't dubstep.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean, dubstep remixes of dubstep versions of 30s music?
Yeah, so 1950s Boston,
sound.
but
Yeah.
dubstep.
It's called electro swing. Yeah, sorry.
I think it suited the film
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it's a very well made film.
The actual atmosphere and the setting and everything was really fun, really great. The island is genuinely really quite spooky.
Yeah, 100%.
And you get this idea that it is a big island, but it's not massive.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell the scale in some aspects. It's I
don't
guess
think it's
the
supposed
actual
to.
facility is only maybe a small part of it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
most of
I
it's just terrain.
Yeah.
I think that's meant to be part of the fear is you never really learn the geography of the island properly.
No, there's no really long sweeping shots showing where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the facility. It's here's the bit to the left, here's the bit to the right, there's the bit over there. That's it. There's a lighthouse somewhere. There's some woods. There's a graveyard.
It is really clever in that it gives you that feeling of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Because it is so there is no example of the entire island or if it shows you the island
there's no
from far
friendly
enough
neighborhood
away.
map. with "You
Yeah.
are here" written on it, and
So like every location feels really separated and isolated.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
and
I think it's really interesting.
yeah, it's a definitely like, I mean, it's a very well made movie.
It's Scorsese.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah,
we can't be like,
exactly.
oh, it's a badly made film. No, it's Scorsese. Of course, it's good.
And it's got a great cast as well, because you got Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, who's always great as well.
Yeah, wasn't this around the time that he was
There's a
doing the
woman in it
Mandarin?
too. Or
Or was that a bit later?
yeah, it would have been actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2010. Same year as. Oh no, Iron Man 3 was 2013.
Oh, okay. I can't remember what
So,
happens in
bit
each
before.
separate Iron Man incident. But yeah, no, I weirdly, like, I know I've seen him in so many films, but it's the Mandarin that I like see him, like, he in my mind's eye, that's who he is,
Yeah.
which I think is probably quite unfair to his acting skill.
Yeah, considering in that
I-
he's Trevor.
He does do this. He does do "Am I good? Am I bad? Where do I stand?" very well in this
Well.
film.
Yeah, it's always funny when you have an actor that's like really good and you remember him for probably one of the worst things they've done.
Yeah, I think I can beat that. I'm pretty sure he's the bad guy in the live action Thunderbirds movie.
Great. We'll go up to these
I
people
thought
and go,
the
wow, I
bad
really
guys in
like
the
your-"
Thunderbirds movies was just like two. Oh no, that's Captain Scarlet. Have you guys ever watched
Oh, yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Scarlet?
No.
Oh well,
No,
the bad
but
guys in
kind
that
of,
is
yeah.
literally like a torch shone at a wall. They're called the
Brilliant.
Mister Runs, and they're literally like two rings shot like two ring lamps against a wall.
But budgets were a thing back
Yeah,
then.
especially for things where
Well, actually-
the bad guys are actually just puppets.
Yeah.
They weren't even puppets. It was literally like a bloke with a torch.
Yeah. Good.
Shadow puppets.
So, this film, we're trying to avoid the story.
Yeah,
Because
it's
the
a
story
bit
is
of an odd one to
complicated.
try and
Uh,
talk through, I feel like.
yeah. It's reverse Gothica is the only thing I could think.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know when we were watching Gothica and we were like, if this was made now, it'd be like real dark and edgy, and it turns out they made Gothica again
Yeah.
and called it Shutter Island. He just didn't have Robert Downey Jr. in. But it's
Aw.
the same vibe.
But it's
like,
got it's got the Mandarin, so you know
Yeah.
it's got that Iron Man vibe.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is
And the
reverse
Hulk.
Gothica.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we start like the ending of this film. Should we just explain the twist?
Spoilers
Because
for Shutter
Obviously,
Island.
we're talking about it. We don't need to say spoilers on this. If you're listening to this, either have watched the film or don't care, because we're going to talk about the film. Imagine listening to a film podcast and then going, "Oh, they told, oh, spoilers." They talked about the film in specific detail.
So big spoilers.
Big twist, because I feel like
It
the twist
introduces
kind
you to
of changes
his
a lot of the
name's
film.
Edward Daniels, and he
Yeah.
is a detective, and he's here to solve a crime. Here to find someone who's escaped from the prison, mental institution.
Yeah,
The twist is
particularly a woman.
he's not Edward Daniels. He is is it Andrew
Andrew
Levin?
Linnaeus? Yeah.
Linnaeus, yeah.
Yeah, that's a real name.
Linnaeus, yeah. Because
Um,
it's an anagram.
It's an anagram.
of the other name that he had.
And he's in there. He's actually a patient. He's been there for 24 months. He's in some sort of weird mental state where he keeps on. He's in denial about the fact that he stabbed his wife to death after she murdered their children, and he's created this fantasy where because he was a sheriff. He's created this fantasy where he's still that.
He's still a detective. He's still going to this island to try and work out what's happening because he thinks there's a whole conspiracy. And then everyone's like, but what if he actually is a detective and it's just them
Yeah,
messing with his mind?
Yeah, the
make
plot
him-
is like, what if we actually let him play this out and get to the conclusion that there is no conspiracy? Can
Yeah.
we then get through to him? Can we break this without, his other options are a lobotomy because he's
Yeah.
too violent and unpredictable that he nearly killed someone, and they're being put under pressure to lobotomize him because he can't be managed at this facility.
Mental health care was in its infancy in the 50s.
Yeah.
So this is set in we should explain, this is set in the 50s.
Yeah.
Just after World War II, and he was in World War II. He was in the war. he freed people from concentration camps, because that is a lot of where the trauma comes from.
Yes, and I mean, that's the one sort of, I wouldn't say his trauma's a red herring, but it's like you see that he's in a very fragile mental state, but it's kind of explained as like he's getting flashbacks from the internment camp, from the concentration camps that he.
It's kind of masked.
Yeah, so like well, okay, yeah, of course he's fucked up. He's seen some really horrible things, and you also get like his wife burnt. Like he says bits of truth as well, like so like his flat was burned down. But by this guy, Andrew, who he's out there to try and kill.
Yeah, and the whole thing is like the world's biggest role play.
Yes.
Yeah, they're letting him pretend to be a detective, so they can be like, no, you're not. And then at the end, he unfortunately regresses again and thinks he's the detective again.
Yeah.
That's the scene that made me think all of the stupid internet theories that actually he is a detective and it's them messing with his mind. Is kind of like that scene alone kind of disproves that.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely, like, I think this is a film. When I watched it the first time, I did end up watching one of those YouTube videos that was like end of Shutter Island explained.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, huh? Oh, that's not where I thought. Because at the time, I think when I was quite, I guess, not thinking super critically when I was watching it, and just sort of letting it, just sort of taking this film very much at face value. So I was definitely a sucker for the twist, and I hadn't quite got to grips with like the whole unreliable narrator kind of thing at that age.
Yeah.
So the idea that a film could lie to me, like, definitely was like, what?
How dare?
No. Like, I was sort of studying that at school, but I hadn't let it seep into my like own
day-to-day
day-to-day stuff. So I was really shook. But yeah, not subtle actually on hindsight.
Yeah, it is weird, because it does kind of change a lot of the film. It does kind of like go back and you go, but some of this genuinely doesn't make sense if it's all one big role play.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell what's real though, because you see so many things that you just assume are real at the start of the film because it hasn't planted any of those seeds of doubt just yet. Like him being on the ferry and vomiting, and it's like, right? Did he actually go on the ferry? And you don't actually know.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. It's like the very start of the film starts with them on a ferry going to investigate Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Where did this role play start, and how did they convince him?
How did they get him on the boat? Did they even get him on the boat?
I don't think he was on the boat. I think he was just with his doctor at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, but
in his mind he's on the boat, because there are a few times where he's seeing things which just aren't there.
Yeah.
Like when he sees his wife with Rorschach.
Again,
cells. Yeah.
Those are like psychosis moments.
Yeah.
He is because he comes through the main door. Where does the reality actually start?
I wouldn't be surprised. I guess the way I sort of felt was that it probably started at the dock. He never actually got. Maybe he was on the ferry, but maybe the ferry never actually went. Like maybe they went on the boat together.
Okay.
And then they went for a little. They convinced the ferry people to like, okay, let's go round
Just
in a circle,
go out and back again.
Yeah, and then we're gonna play it from there.
But then theoretically, wouldn't he remember being on?
Maybe they took him at night.
Yeah, see what I mean? There's like
but that's the thing is like we're trying to rationalize someone's thought who isn't thinking rationally anyway.
Yeah, but if we don't, this podcast
like he wants this to be real. I think that's how they get away with a lot of it as well. Like he doesn't. Yeah. His mind automatically rejects the idea that he's in a mental institution anyway. Yeah, so it probably doesn't take a lot. Yeah, it probably doesn't take a lot of convincing. But like, if they all start suddenly saying like, "Yeah, we're just going to get the boat now from this," he might even believe that he's in another place and he's getting the boat to another place.
The idea of a load of like medical staff, just general like orderlies, just going, "Yes, we are."
They're just sitting around him, just making ocean noises. Like,
they just bring in a seagull in a cage.
No one's just carrying a seagull.
They just chuck a bucket of water at him.
He's like, there was one angry seagull when we were on the ferry. But yeah, no, because the doctor would have to like explain all this to everyone.
Yes,
And
ethically,
Audley's-
it's not so much
Audley's-
that it's fucked what they're doing to Leo, David, whatever his name is.
It is.
No, it is. No,
Teddy.
but it's also like, okay, but what about everyone else there? Like, this is probably not good for their mental state.
No, definitely not good for the other people.
Because, like, he
The
interviews
other,
them and they get, like, really upset, and he, like, accosts another inmate that's escaped, and he, like...
Yeah, you find out that he's beaten someone up before as well because they knew who he really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But also,
he's,
like-
yeah, he's just really, and, like, they're letting him just this idea
Yeah.
that they're parading someone around as if they're a detective.
It might help him. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, that would confuse the shit out of maybe the other slightly more sane
Mm.
patients there to be like, well, why are they doing that to him? But, like, when
Why
do
don't
I
I
when
get
do
a
I
big
get my
role
role play?
When do I get my big role play? Yeah, when do I get my scene?
When do I get my bit where I reenact the fact that I killed my cheating husband with an axe?
Yeah.
That woman,
And
I
then-
was like, yeah, no, fair enough. He was abusive and cheated.
Yeah.
Kind of
I
get
mean,
it.
I think that was just a comment on stuff that happened back then.
Yeah.
Like, that was something that actually happened.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this person, put them in a mental asylum. It's
Yeah.
fine. You know, we don't have to look into this any further.
But, like, yeah, no, it's bad for the other patients, but it's also, like, kind of weird for, like, non-doctors.
Yeah, all the
who
staff
work there.
like
Because-
really weird brief. Like, you have your team
Like-
meeting, like, right, today we've been preparing for this now. It's big old detective Edwards
they-
Day.
Did they have, like, acting classes?
From their behaviour
like,
in the movie?
get a-
No.
No.
Guy in. They should have got a guy in to do the idea of on that island that they're like all the staff have to come for acting classes.
Oh, they think they're getting like a fun staff away day as like a prize, and they have to then just like, nope, you're getting free acting classes. What? But
They're
we're
actually just in an improv group.
Just a big
No.
improv.
but the improv guy's been paid off, so he's like, right, okay, I'm a detective. Well, how are you going to react to me saying I'm a detective?
He's doing that like clap. When I clap, you it's like, what do you do? Oh man, that would be funny because they're just a load of be really confused people sat around.
You get
It's a-
Leonardo DiCaprio coming in like, I'm a detective, I'm looking for things, and the audios are like, yes, and.
And yeah,
But
no,
yeah, he's so.
oh,
I mean, he is so self-involved that I don't think he notices.
I mean,
no,
yeah,
He's
Like,
not
I
going to
don't-
notice
there's-
anything that doesn't fulfill that doesn't like contribute to the fantasy that he is this detective.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that I can't even tell if it actually was real as well. Like, all the stuff with the horrendous storm is like.
They just got
There's-
lucky. The doctor's there, like, oh, this is fucking lucky, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah, 'cause
maybe
at
they
one
had.
point they say he
new-
keeps
yeah.
imagining a storm or something, and it's like, so
Yeah.
was he just actually sitting in his bed with Mark Ruffalo, and he's like, we're in a mausoleum?
Uh-huh. Really easy. At that point, they're like, this roleplay is going to be a lot easier than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
but-
say yes.
What they did was, to help with the roleplay, they actually started killing off other people
Oh,
to make a real mystery.
Honestly, I don't
The-
feel like the psychiatrist's that far away from that. Like, clearly, Leo is his
No.
favourite puzzle to solve.
Yeah. He's got a favourite patient, which, no,
That or this was just
Psychologist.
Detective Week.
he's okay, the
He's like, fuck's sake, why couldn't he
psychologist.
pretend to be a baker?
the doctor in charge, it would have been a lot harder if he believed he was a baker, because they'd have had to build a bakery for him.
They've got a
That didn't
kitchen.
look like a prison. Yeah, but it had to not look like a prison.
Did it though?
Well, yeah, I guess not. He would have just been a baker in prison, which is kind of against the point.
Yeah.
He needs to come
Maybe
in
he's
for a
working
reason.
as a baker in a hospital.
Yeah.
Or what's he going to do?
this
Start
is-
making like fucked up looking gingerbread men?
Was this what the meeting room was like? You know, the writers' room of doctors that were like, what should the role play be? What should the mystery be? Because someone had to come up with like.
Or maybe they were like, okay, so we're going to try it on the detective first. What other professions do we have? They're like, teacher, no, that'll be weird.
else
Doctor,
is in
no,
here?
that'll get confusing really quickly.
Turns out they were doing a few of these at once.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, there's actually this
You know,
massive subplot of the ferry ferry captain that they just didn't get
Yeah.
into.
there were actually like a load of other people on that ferry. Oh, man,
Oh,
yeah.
just the roleplay ferry.
They take it out like once a week.
It reminds me a bit of that. Did you ever read that article about there was like a dementia specialist care home that had a bus stop put outside that didn't actually have any buses going on it, and people that had decided that they wanted to leave, just sort of being aggravated or confused or whatever, would go out there and wait for the bus, and then they'd sort of go and speak to them and like let them cool off for like an hour or 20 minutes or what, however long they'd need, and then be like, oh, I don't think the bus is going to be for a while. Do you want to come in for a cup of tea while you wait? And get them back in that way.
Good idea.
It is a good idea. If only that happened with real bus stops when the buses don't show up for a fucking hour.
a doctor comes over and goes, would you like to come with you?
I mean, it'd be a bit annoying if you weren't actually from that old people's home and you just mistook it for a bus stop. And some person's like, do you want to come in for a tea? What?
I mean, the good thing is, I like to think that nursing homes these days do know who their patients are. So this could be like, I'm really sorry, ma'am, but you're not going to get a bus here.
This isn't an early 2000s comedy where they accidentally get swapped.
Or, the bus has a diversion and then they accidentally lose like 30 patients.
Yeah. And
they've all been let loose in Liverpool town centre.
That could either be a comedy or very sad. Yeah, so this film is about mental health, I think.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's about not knowing what you are.
It's about misunderstanding reality.
And the power of denial.
Yeah, Gothica.
Okay, yeah, this is just Gothica.
It's reverse Gothica. Because in Gothica, something was real, and she was sort of gaslit into believing that it wasn't.
Yeah. In
this, he believes that something that isn't real is, and he's gaslit into believing that it wasn't. Like, it's a reverse. They reverse Gothica DiCaprio.
And it's like, well, is that pretending that it's real? Is that? I mean, that's sort of something you're not really supposed to.
Psychological abuse.
You're not really supposed to do that. You're supposed to be like just distract, divert, and then confirm what is real, rather than you don't just like deny stuff. But
again, it was the 1950s.
It's just Thorazine, wasn't
it?
That they were.
Yeah. Mental health care was at that point adjacent to abuse anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they think that the best way of dealing with it is to cut out a bit of someone's brain, then...
Hole in the head, let the demons out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let those devils out.
A good bit of trepanning, it's fine.
Oh, guys, okay, guess what,
the pressures all those demons.
Guess what, Thorazine, which is actually chlorpromazine, guess what it can be used for as well, used to treat?
Don't know.
Standard things that you'd expect, so like bipolar, behavioural problems in children, nausea, vomiting, anxiety before surgery, and hiccups that do not improve following other measures.
I imagine in a different, to be fair, like, hiccuping would be really irritating if you were going through a psychotic episode.
So it's kind of a twofer in that respect. It's like, if you're a sort of person that's really aggravated by hiccups and you're having a psychotic episode, this is two birds, one stone.
I've got the doctor's like, I've got the perfect medication for you.
What's that? Your wife drowned your children and you shot her and now you have the hiccups. Well, boy.
His eyes go wide. He's like, have I got the medication for you? When this, like, we're making a joke about this film portrays like an absolute horror of mental health care.
Yeah.
But when he turned up, Leonardo DiCaprio's character turned up to the hospital for real, that doctor must have been like, my plan. I can finally do it.
Yeah, he's a real
all these acting classes I've been taking.
All these acting classes I've been forcing the staff to go to. My improv classes. Yeah, because like I imagine there are other patients where he's like, it wouldn't be great, it'd be complicated. He's like, this one's pretty simple.
Yeah, I think it's because his the character was kind of in his head, he was doing that anyway. So it's like just kind of, I guess,
seeing how far it'll go.
Yeah.
And hoping that if you go far enough, it'll come to its natural conclusion. And they just hope that natural conclusion is, oh shit, I am Andrew.
It's realization.
Yeah. And it does, to be fair. Like, in all fairness to them, like...
Temporarily.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? Like, and it's a shame because they also mentioned that he did actually start to have some clarity,
Hmm.
and then he regressed, and they didn't really know why. And
Yeah.
it's pretty scary.
The little bits throughout where it kind of tells you, because I don't think it's trying to hide the twist.
No,
I don't think it's trying to be like subtly here's it. I think
I think it doesn't want to spell it out.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that it uses the anagrams thing, which I just always think is like dumb. Like, anyway,
Yeah.
I just think like that was like a really unnecessary like.
Do you know what makes it worse? Is the title is an anagram.
Oh, is it?
For like truth and lies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whatever. Lucky guess. It reminds me very much of like Stanley Yelnats in Holes.
Yeah.
Where it's like Yelnats isn't a fucking name.
No.
Is Led? I don't want to be offensive. Actually, is Ledin?
Leadus. It might be. I don't know.
Yeah. This film's really hard to like. Once you've watched it once, I think this is one of those films that like it probably gets worse the more times you watch it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like
knowing sort of what happens at the end, it all became a lot more obvious because it's like in the story he tells where his wife died in a fire. It's like, cool. Why do you keep seeing this child then?
Yeah.
And only the one. He clearly cared about that child the most.
About that child. Yeah, that was his favourite.
He had 3 whole kids that she drowned.
Maybe that was the only one whose parents were like, yeah, we're cool with this scene.
Yeah, we're cool.
You can stand in front of the exploding car. That's fine.
Dipping our daughter in water and just... yeah. Oh, no. That...
Like,
yeah.
The scene where it sort of shows what happened and him discovering it was, like, genuinely horrific as well.
One of the best scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Was the actual, like, flashback truth of what happened.
Yeah. Oh, it's awful. And she does a fantastic job as well.
Yeah.
It's Michelle Williams. She's so, deranged in it. That muttering, like, we're going to dress them up and tomorrow we'll go for a picnic. And, like, she's killed her children. Literally just killed her children. It's,
and he can't get over the fact that he knew before that she had, like, suicidal thoughts and stuff, and he did nothing to stop it because he was just drinking to try and suppress his own trauma from the war. Yeah.
And it is interesting, like, because, it doesn't hide it. Like, he has angry outbursts when because the lie is, that the story the doctor's telling is that a woman here has escaped. She drowned her children.
Yeah.
They're
trying to bring it to the surface. There's definitely, they're trying to be like, oh, yeah, she did this and this, and she can't believe it.
And he has, like, a kind of irrational reaction to that. Because he's, like, screaming.
And the camera also sort of pans to Ruffalo being like, I wonder what his reaction to that's going to be.
Yeah.
Which happens so many times in this film, actually.
Yeah. It's not... Well, it's like we've given the Doctor a lot of credit for, like, having acting classes and stuff, but, like, it's like they didn't tell anyone else in the
probably
entire
because
facility.
It's morally reprehensible.
It is morally... It is fucked. But, yeah, and, like, that's why it's pretty obvious, is because no one else is reacting properly.
And I think even Ladis, it's not a name, I've looked it up, by the way. You Google it, the only thing that comes up is Shutter Island. So I can take the piss out of it without offending someone like, that's my grandmother's name.
Grandma get a better name.
Yeah, Grandma had a shit name. Like, I got so wound up on the name, I forgot what I was going to say.
It is an amazing name.
So,
apart from that one grandmother that has it,
she's a darling. We like her. He knows, like, you can almost tell, like, he's there's the bit of him that the rational bit of him that is just about left, that he's trying to tell him as well by, like, the paranoid, like, the hallucinations he's having when he imagines this whole woman in the cave and she's like, yeah, they're doing mind control. They are. That's kind of what they're trying to do here. Like obviously they're not using, drugs or chemtrails or whatever to do it. That they are trying to control his mind and influence his mind by exploiting his delusions.
Yeah, the power of acting.
Yeah, it's just not in the way that he's expecting it to be. Like,
Yeah,
that
well,
he's
it's
made
not
up
in a
his mind.
logical way if you follow along the start of the.
No.
Yeah. You know, that you'd actually think probably drugs and, you know, surgeries and whatever, microchips, before you think entire facility is doing role play. LARP. No one expected LARP to be the sinister weapon that's being used here against him.
LARP is in fact sinister.
No, that's a different film.
It's just like gaslighting on a medical scale. Just medical gaslighting is what this is.
Well, it's almost not gaslight. It's a sort of opposite of. Yeah, because
right.
It's kind of a bit of, because it's like, well, I want to say his heart's in the right place, and I'm like, but is it?
It's definitely not.
This is a very high risk experiment to put a patient through.
He's also like, the doctor's also like, this is my greatest plan.
Yeah.
Finally, I got to do my greatest, the greatest roleplay ever. It's like,
yeah,
he's doing this to.
He's going to write a book on it.
Yeah, and be like, this idea works. And I get the feeling that now it's failed, he's just going to not mention it to anyone.
Well, no, I think he's going to wait for the next, I don't know, detective/murderer.
The next suited job to come through.
Yeah, you wait till that serial killer baker comes in. They've definitely got
He's like, well, it can't possibly be cruel because we're now feeding the patients a hell of a lot more cake.
He's like, he's got like a whole separate part of the facility. He's like, don't go in there. It's like, why? Well, that's the stage bakery that we've made.
That's what's really under the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Oh, a lighthouse keeper. He's a psychotic lighthouse keeper.
That comes in, the guy's like, this is perfect.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he goes up there, there's just...
he actually starts touring other mental health facilities, questioning, like, okay, and occupation? Okay. Groundskeeper in an isolated island.
Wow.
What are the odds? We've got an isolated island ourselves, and we've just had a big fuck-off storm.
We've got lots of ground that needs working.
He goes to like their doctor, and he's like, look, I'm going to have them come on a ferry. Well, they're on the ferry. We're going to start lying to them. Right? Yeah.
But yeah, it's very scary to be at the mercy of these people that claim they're trying to help you. But the ulterior motives are absolutely everywhere.
It's personal, yeah. It's entirely like
I think it's only really Ruffalo's character, the psychiatrist that's playing his partner, that seems to genuinely try and look out for him, because he sticks to him pretty much the whole time as much as he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only time they're separated is when they're in that ward C, like the danger ward.
Yeah. Or when like Leo absolutely just buggers off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he finds the guy that he believed burnt his house down.
Yeah. And he tries to tell him as well, like earlier tries to bring it forward by giving him the piece of paper that's going to have like what's it called? Not checking in slip, but entrance papers.
But it's the one for him, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember. Do we ever find out what the Axelman wrote in his book?
She writes Run.
Did she write Run? Okay.
Yeah, she just writes Run, which is like it's just a sort of more of a good horror thing than like contributing much to the plot.
Yeah, because
if she'd written something that was a bit more like they're lying to you, or it's not real, or just like you killed your wife.
You killed your wife after she drowned your 3 children.
Your name is Andrea. She's actually got, but like he can't read it because she had to write it so quickly
and really small.
Maybe it's not the first time she's done it as well. And they're like, for fuck's sake, Mabel, you've ruined it again. Right, guys, reset.
Everyone go again.
Get the ferry over. We're doing it again tomorrow. Here, come on, Leo, have your Thorazine.
Because Ron is such a useless thing to tell him.
Yeah, like run where? They're on a fucking island. They've already established like running isn't happening. I think even obviously the storm makes it really spooky. But even if there hadn't been a storm, it would have been the ferry's broken, or it's not coming back anyway. Or
again, the doctor was just really happy they had the storm. He was like, "Great, this is perfect. It's the right atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Everyone's gonna get into it more." Yeah, he's just like, the doctor should just play D&D and get his for some reason role play frustrations out there, and then actually like treat his patients. Just like once a week, dude, play D&D.
Oh, what if someone who he's arrested for acting out his D&D fantasies?
Yeah, he's actually
He's like,
arrested
right.
because they think he's part of a satanic cult now.
He would make such a horrifying but good DM, the Doctor. Because he's very elaborate with his plans.
Oh, yeah.
All I'm saying.
Oh, well, yeah,
You
you'd find, like, you'd go to his house, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
right, okay, here are your character sheets that I've written, because I'm that kind of DM. And, right, oh, no, what's that? All the lights have gone out.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit,
Yeah,
what's that screen? And then he's done, like, a locked room.
Yeah, you may.
And you
have
look
to
at your
have,
character
like,
sheets, and it's just yourselves.
You have someone else. That's where he does it. He wants to see how you react to having someone else's being someone else for a bit. But
and then it turns out you were actually that other person the whole time.
the D&D the roleplay started 3 hours ago, before you even turned up.
Yeah, the roleplay started when you were on the boat on the way here.
He lives on this weird island in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's
he's got to do
stormy.
something for fun. You get tired of torturing patients. Torture healthy people. Make them
With
unhealthy.
D&D. Yeah.
And then you've got more clients. I mean, patients.
Yeah. And then once a week he plays D&D. Never play D&D with that Doctor. He would go too far.
Absolutely. Or if you outsmarted him, he'd get really upset.
He'd get so angry. And he'd want to be like, oh, is this your personal trauma coming out in the story?
Oh,
And
your
I'm like,
defense
no.
mechanisms. Look at those defense mechanisms. Like, yes, it's my armor class. That's what it's for.
Stop calling it a defense mechanism.
It's a shield.
I said a wisdom saving throw. It's just part of the rules. Oh.
Yeah, I think he'd want to homebrew everything, including his own rules.
Yeah, you wouldn't be allowed to play any of like the standard classes.
No, and
You can
he'll
play
kind of
detective,
swoop in.
baker, groundskeeper, lighthouse keeper.
Like, yeah, he just
And they
looks
all
around
look
the room
suspiciously like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, imagine if they thought, well, detective's not working. Shall we try, just something else?
Do we pivot?
Sailor. Let's just pivot.
How do we pivot this whole thing? I just realised like the scenes when nobody's there and like when Leo's in a different room. Do you reckon the Doctor's like, do you reckon this is going well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
In like a kind of awkward, nervous way, like.
Well, they had that radio as well in the
fine.
lighthouse where they were all He was checking in on people.
How was my acting?
Hmm.
Could you tell I was lying? Do you think he knows?
No,
This is
I think we're
really
good.
self-conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine.
Did you notice when I stumbled over my lines?
Oh god, I knew I should have written them more clearly. I just wrote improv in that bit, and it was wow.
Just wing it. Oh no.
There is a bit where they are talking about like that woman who, this fake patient who believes that they're pretending killed her children and is in denial about it, and then he does very clearly say, "Oh, I always, he was like, oh, what can you do? Like, let them live in comfort or whatever." And then it's like, I try to give my patient whatever he needs.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he's a he, but they were supposed to be talking about a she. Is that a clue?
Yeah. But that could have just been of the time sexism.
Yes, and also like, always defer
like
to male.
Because when he says, I want to have these specific documents.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, because up above said no.
Yeah.
Do you reckon, like, when he first... Because he
Printer's
first asked
broken.
for that and they're like, maybe? He first asked for it and they're like, maybe, we'll see. Do you reckon the guy said that by accident and then was like, shit. We're going to have to come up with a reason for him to not have them now. Shit.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, it's one of those things where it's like, well, are they actually interested in protecting the privacy of the other patients, or is it just inconvenient for them to give him those?
I think it's inconvenient. I think it's just a lot more paperwork than... Do you reckon it's because, again, this is like adding a lot. Do you reckon it's because like they haven't... And this makes it a lot more interesting. The Doctor hasn't told anyone above like any of the finances that he's doing this?
Yeah, because they have that big meal, that sort of posh dinner party thing that Leo and busts into, and it's very clear. Well, I think it's very clear this time watching it that the posh guy that's like, what's going on here, isn't in on it.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, because they're dressed as orderlies, not as patients. So he just thinks it's sort of if he doesn't catch on, because I think the sort of person that would say something like that would want to be part of it and play along if they...
Yeah.
If they were involved, but he clearly doesn't play along.
Yeah, which is really really interesting as a story, is like this doctor who is conducting an experiment that nobody is on board with, so he has to like hide it and hide all the details and everything. And
it could also be this like uncertainty of if it will work, and he doesn't want to, say he's going to do something and then get, I don't know, teased or well, that's probably not the wrong, but the academic equivalent of teased when it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, that's better than other academics being empathetic towards patients, which did not happen at the time. No, I think it's very clear, like, as much as he claims to be all about the patients, he isn't, and he has no empathy.
Psychiatry isn't about helping the individual at this point.
No.
The helping the individual is like sometimes a nice side effect.
It's helping possible future individuals,
and it's helping society to not have to deal with mentally ill people.
Yeah.
And not having to integrate them into society, which, to be fair, we're still not great at. Because we kind of, we're like, oh, these homes, these institutions are terrible, we should get rid of them. And then they were like, well, where shall we put these people? And they're like, the community. And it's like, okay, are you going to support the community to help these people? No!
We're going to imprison them when they do something wrong, though.
Yeah.
Oh, on that cheery note, out of 10.
Yeah, out of 10. I feel like this is a hard one to do a joke rating out of as well. Like, you can't exactly rate it out of Drowned Children.
I was going to... okay, you can, but maybe...
Out of roleplay obsessed doctors. Out of doctors that should have just had a weekly game of D&D instead.
Yeah, on that note, I think I'd give it a D6.
I'm going to give this. I'm going to give this a 6 because, that's 6 professions that Leonardo couldn't have been for this to have worked.
What 6 are they? One of them's clown.
The clown would have been horrified.
You're here to entertain the patients. That's something fishy is going on. That would have been.
No, that was when he was the fisherman.
Unpleasant again. Bits of it were good. It was very well shot, and the acting I thought held up really well, like the atmosphere and everything. It's just that the actual premise of the movie hasn't really held up for me, and I don't feel like it's one of those movies that I think should be more interesting to watch a second time, but kind of isn't. Yeah,
because you're too aware of it.
Yeah,
it makes it all very obvious rather than being subtle hints as to what's really happening.
Like the twist is, I think the twist is probably quite cool. I think, I know it was, for me it was cool the first time, but there's not, almost too much riding on it that I didn't get anything further out of it this time.
I think same. I think 6. I think we can all agree this is a very 6 movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. It's a really well made movie, but again, like, it kind of collapses on the twist.
Yeah.
If you don't like the twist and you don't get on with it,
it's not Sixth Sense level twist.
No. And the whole film kind of, again, if you don't get on with it, collapses around itself and stops being interesting. And the Doctor is a way more interesting character at that point, because you're like, that's fucked.
Yes.
That's real fucked.
It's kind of reminds me a bit of like how they've done a new Netflix show about Nurse Ratched instead of the... because they did do the... Obviously, there's a film of the book.
Yeah. But that was alright. Ratched, the Netflix show, was alright, actually.
But I'm saying like I'd like the equivalent of that about him, like him torturing
100%.
But in that, so like that pompous, I'm doing this to better them.
Yeah, I'm doing this for when he's not, he's just doing it to write a book.
I think it's a really interesting character when you have someone that psychopathic who claims to be so intelligent and so understanding of mental health conditions.
Whilst being completely disconnected from the actual patients. Yeah. Over is really interesting. It's not a more interesting story, but I think I would enjoy that story more.
Yeah. And like maybe ending with like the crushing realization that he's, I don't know, ruined his own reputation, but he's also ruined the lives of these people that are now more sick than when they got there.
Yeah, he's just like stuck with his failing career, his ruined career, and all of these patients that are now way harder to manage.
Yeah.
As a really interesting film. I'd watch that film. I think I know what we're doing with the Patreon money, guys.
Cool.
Oh.
We're making that film.
So
do
we need an island, or can we set it somewhere else?
Oh, we can pretend that somewhere's an island.
True.
But
Yeah,
we're gonna
all we have
make
to do is
Ratchet,
get a boat.
but for that character, we're gonna Ratchet that character.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
I can't even work out what Nurse Ratchet's from. So anyway.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's the horrible nurse.
So basically Ben Kingsley from this movie.
Yeah. It's a very similar character in Ratchet and that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess with that, I have been Dan.
I have been Michael.
And I've been Helena.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at HiltonPod. That's at HILTM Pod. We've got Discord as well, so you can hop on there and let us know what you think about Shutter Island. And yeah, as you said before, are we making this movie on the Patreon?
Yeah, we're not being meta about it this time.
Yeah,
we're literally
because I don't really want to make a psychiatric hospital.
No, it's a lot of effort.
It's a lot of work. And it's pretty depressing.
And you've got to take all those improv classes.
Yeah, even if we're not doing the psychiatric hospital bit, just like gaslighting someone that much is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, especially if there's
And all the fake paperwork, let alone the real paperwork.
I know.
Ugh, when does it end?
Yeah, because you can't have the real paperwork because he'll read it.
Exactly. Luckily, all you need is your small envelope in your pocket that reminds you that Push is not a good movie.
Push is not a good movie. So yeah, we're gonna Ratchet this film. We're gonna Ratchet Shutter Island.
And don't forget to rate us on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps us out.
Oh yeah. I also there was one thing I forgot to say.
Oh, okay.
Not about this, but about the other film.
Okay.
Are you recording or not recording?
Yeah, I'm still recording.
Okay, cool. There's a pinball machine.
Yes, I literally made a note saying, ask Helena about the pinball machine.
And I didn't mention it, and I was really cross with myself afterwards.
Which film are we talking about?
Shutter Island. I'll edit this bit into the end of Shutter Island.
I also want to add on the Shutter Island thing, there was meant to be a DS game.
Nintendogs.
I refuse to explain anymore.
Helena, what pinball machine was it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't get a good shot of it. It's Seven Seas, 1959.
Wait, the film's set in the earlier 50s. That doesn't make sense. I've stopped recording. Oh no.
The worst kind of anachronism, the very specific kind.
Oh yeah, no, they're popping off in Pinsider. No, actually, so what happened? If you guys really care, which you don't, but it's actually the back glass from Seven Seas, the 1959 machine, but it's a table, like it's a much older table. So it's a little Frankenstein.
Oh, that's an even worse anachronism.
Yeah, that is like they just got it as a prop from someone who didn't know shit about pinballs.
Or did and just wanted to get rid of that one.
Okay.
Anachronism's the right word, right?
Yeah. Arachnerism is when it's a spider that's from a different region or time period.
Spider that doesn't. Yeah.
Crossover. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.
I stopped recording ages ago.
Yeah, so did I. I'm exporting my audio.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy that bit of me talking to myself.
Yeah, I'll edit it down so it's just you talking about pinballs for the end of the episode.
Thank you. I was really cross with myself.
No.
Yeah, no, at the end of Shutter Island.
No, End of Eight-Legged Freak, so it makes no sense.
Eight-Legged Freaks is coming out before Shutter Island. It'd make even less sense.
You said that like I was gonna be like, oh, that's okay then. No, I want it more now.
Export.
The backup was still recording. I can use that for us talking.
Cool.
Cool. Now I'll stop the backup recording.